Could Illinois football debut in the top 10 next season? A national writer seems to think so.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. My name is Sunny Verma, your host here at Locked On Illini, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right, every single day of the beloved. If you'd like to support the channel, I ask for nothing in return. Everything is absolutely free. All I ask is if you can hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that came out actually a couple days ago, and I promise you, this isn't a drill. Illinois football just cracked the top 10 of a national post-spring ranking. And no, this isn't a fluke or clickbait. This is from Andy Staples, one of the most respected voices in all of college football media. This is the kind of recognition that doesn't come very often, but it's a clear sign to me that Bret Bielema and the program is finally getting its long-due national respect. For those keeping track at home, this is one of the biggest moments in the Bielema era, to date at least, a top 10 ranking, not after a season, not after a win streak, but entering the summer. That means this is about belief in what Illinois is building, belief in what Illinois has built, belief in culture, the coaching, the talent, and yes, belief in Luke Altmyer. Because let's be real, Altmyer staying in Champaign is probably the heartbeat of this ranking. Andy Staples flat out said it. Lots of other teams could have loved to have Altmyer, and he's not wrong. Tennessee reportedly threw serious NIL money his way. Didn't matter. Altmyer stayed. Why? Because as Bielema said, his level of concern was 0.0. That quote alone speaks volumes about the relationship and trust and the stability in this program. And Altmyer, quietly, was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the entire country last season. But Luke isn't doing it alone. Staples made sure to note that the Illini bring back the core of last year's 10-win team. And let's not forget, that 10-win mark was only the 5th time in school history that's been done. The last time, 2001. Kurt Kittner, Ron Turner. You remember those names. The 2025 squad brings back one of the Big Ten's best offensive lines, a secondary that was elite last year, and a group of starters on both sides of the football who we've seen know how to win. And let's talk about the Big Ten in general, which, in case you haven't noticed, is loaded. But Illinois still has a very manageable path. Yes, there are giants like Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State, but guess what? Illinois doesn't play Penn State. They don't play Oregon. And Ohio State, well, they're coming to Champaign on October 11th. You want a national statement game? That's the one. Circle it. Here's what makes this ranking even more meaningful. Staples has Illinois ahead of schools like Michigan, Florida, and LSU. That's not based on hype. That's based on proof. Those programs have quarterback questions, coaching concerns. Illinois has answers. And it starts with the culture of what Bielema has built on toughness, discipline, and player development. That's why this team is built for the grind. That's why the college football playoff isn't just a dream. In my opinion, next year, it's a legitimate goal. So what does all this mean for you, the Illini fan? It means buckle up. Staples ranking is just the beginning. The college football world is starting to believe. And if Altmyer and company stay healthy, Illinois could be in for one of the most exciting seasons in school history. Last year's football season was one of the best in my lifetime, but it was kind of a Cinderella story, a team that kind of came out of nowhere. And if it weren't for Indiana, would have been one of the darlings of all of college football. This year, things feel different. This year, Illinois is not going to be surprising anybody. In fact, as I just mentioned, this year, Illinois is going to be considered one of the prominent favorites coming into this season. So now how does Bret handle it? Now, what does this culture, what have they grown into when they're now the targeted? Those are the questions that I'm really looking forward to seeing answered. Look, Las Vegas has the over-under at 7.5. And I'll be honest, that makes me very nervous because more often than not, Las Vegas knows what they're doing. I remember 2 seasons ago when I believe the over-under was only 5.5 for the Illini. That was coming off that 8-win season. And I was very upset. And I told every podcast, every show that I went on that offseason to hammer the over. Illinois finished with 5 wins that year. And so, of course, this year, seeing only 7.5, when quite honestly, even when I try not to be too biased, I can see 9 wins pretty easily. Again, the nerves start settling in. But they ease up once I realize, hey, Bret is in charge. And this is not just me. I can be talking one-on-one with the fan base and letting you guys know, hey, look, Bret Bielema has a history of this. This should be an expectation moving forward. But you don't have to take that from me. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying, but listen to some of the words from the most respected national writers in all of college football media. Those guys see it. Those guys are putting Illinois in the top 25, in the top 15, and now even in the top 10. Again, this is post-spring practices. This is not an in-the-moment type of thing. This is you know what? I trust Bret Bielema. And if the national media members trust Bret Bielema, why shouldn't I? Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always get to talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. A friendly reminder, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button on this video and make sure you are subscribed. Also, I wanted to mention, I already have a couple of you who do this as is, but if you have any future content suggestions, a couple ideas that maybe you want me to explore or talk about right here on Locked On Illini, there's several ways. You can find me on your favorite social media. Just do a search for The Sunny V, or Locked On Illini on your favorite social media, or as you can see on the banner on the bottom, just send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com. And for those of you who listen to this on audio and maybe don't want to write me an email, just simply leave a 5-star review on whatever your favorite platform is. Leave a question, leave a comment, whatever you'd like, and I'll address it in a future episode. Also, I round out all these questions, and then at some point, probably in the next couple of weeks or so, I plan on doing a mailbag episode. So I'm always looking for those content ideas. I always say that I may be hosting the show, but the show's just as much your guys' as much as it's mine. So Illinois, let's be honest, we've had a string of pretty good luck as of late. We've had the Andrei Stojakovic recruitment, where he finally confirmed and came to Illinois. And then we had Luke Altmyer deciding to turn down other more lucrative, far more lucrative, I might add, offers from SEC teams and decide to come back and play his final season for the Illinois Fighting Illini. But that doesn't mean that it's always going to be good when it comes to Champaign. Unfortunately, on Thursday, we found out that hotshot prospect Trey Taylor, a kid that Illinois has been recruiting for a very long time. Currently, he's a 4-star, ranked top 300 nationally. Quite honestly, he's a kid who might at some point just become a 5-star. He has decided that he's going to be playing for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And sure, it stings a little bit to lose a coveted recruit like that to a conference rival, but this just happens. He's the kind of guy who really, even if you kind of follow football recruiting on a very high level, he's the guy that basically everyone talks about. Everybody knows. Like, he could have been the official pronouncement that, hey, Bret Bielema, Illinois, they've arrived. They are now here, and they can not just recruit and coach up talent. No, they can actually recruit those top talent guys and coach them up on top of that. It didn't work out this time around, but who knows about the future? Because let's be honest, just being in this conversation wouldn't have happened years ago. Bret's now built a program to the point where we're now making the finalists for these blue chip prospects. Before, we were competing with prospects who had other MAC level offers, and now we're competing for guys who are competing with Nebraska and LSU. You're talking about the bluest of blue bloods in college football. And that says a lot. It says that the staff is earning national respect, and it shows that Illinois' credible development plan at the position, and it says we're not far off from landing a guy like this. But as much as it hurts to lose a guy like Trey Taylor, quite honestly, quarterback room, and I can't believe I'm saying this even from 6, 7, 8 years ago, the quarterback room is one room I'm really not that worried about. Okay, obviously we have Luke coming back this year, but I really do think that Bret and Barry Lunny Jr. and Art Sikowski have done a really good job bringing in good young talent in that quarterback rooms. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know who's going to emerge from there. One guy I certainly have my eye on is Michael Clayton. But, you have Trey Petty, and you have other young players who are just biding their time, just waiting, learning. And then who knows, they could be the guy to eventually supplant Luke after next season. And who knows, maybe the guy isn't in the locker room. But one thing I do know is that after Luke Altmyer's experience, Illinois is going to be a destination for other highly regarded prospects who may want to play quarterback in a Power 2 conference. Look, Luke Altmyer was a 4-star prospect himself. Obviously, he lost out on his job at Ole Miss, decided to come to Illinois, and now we're all hoping is going to play 3 very solid seasons for Illinois, and hopefully, he can have some all Big Ten consideration in his senior year. Again, all credit to Bret and that coaching staff. I know I speak a lot of Bret Bielema and the credibility that he's earned essentially for turning around this program, but I think there's one aspect of his recruiting that impacts it the most, and there's a direct correlation. And I wish I had the actual source for you. It was someone in the Discord who sent me this image from an article. So I apologize, I don't have the actual article in front of me. If you know where this is from, please leave a link in the description, or in the comment section. But it was talking about recruiting the state of Florida. And then the Illinois Fighting Illini were for some reason brought up. And this was what was written. So who does the best job recruiting the Sunshine State? That's a question that always seems to get tossed around. And the answer might actually be Illinois. No out-of-state program has had more Floridians that they signed out of high school drafted over the past 4 years than the Illini. In fact, Bret Bielema and his staff are actually outproducing Florida State when it comes to player retention and development of Floridians. And they're not too far behind both Miami and Florida. Let's be honest, there's no state in the country that produces more football talent than the state of Florida. And I don't even think it's very close. Florida is absolutely a hotbed for talent. And the fact that Illinois is being mentioned with the likes of Miami and Florida, and actually ahead of Florida State when it comes to developing that talent, shows you again how Bret Bielema is always 2-3 steps ahead. Because again, that's if there's any state you want to build a pipeline through, it's the state of Florida. State of Florida itself can help you not only turn around a program, but build a championship level program. And again, fortunately, Illinois is not just recruiting these Florida players, but they're developing them and turning them into NFL prospects. Everybody knows about Devon Witherspoon, who was a top 5 pick just a couple years ago. Then you have Pat Bryant, who was literally just drafted in the 3rd round this past week. Xavier Scott is currently on this team. I mean, you just take a look at the last couple of recruiting classes. Outside Illinois, there's no state that Bret Bielema recruits harder than the state of Florida. And that's just scratching the surface. You know, a lot of these names I said, they're not just depth pieces. They're core players. They're NFL level talents. And the fact that Illinois is landing and developing these guys tells you all you need to do or need to know about what the staff is building. Florida is a state, as I mentioned, that can just single-handedly build you a football team. You give me a consistent Florida pipeline, and I'll show you a program that just at the very bare minimum is making bowl games. And at that point, that's what our goal is. But you continue to work on Florida, and I'm telling you, you will compete for championships. So yeah, Trey Taylor picking Nebraska stings, but bigger picture here is Illinois is still rising. And let's be honest, as long as they continue to be on the trajectory that they're on, that doesn't necessarily mean that Trey Taylor won't ultimately decide to become an Illini. Sure, he's a 2027 recruit, but I mean more so in the sense that I alluded to earlier. Going to Nebraska is tough. Obviously, they have Dylan Raiola right now, but just because they got Trey Taylor does not mean that they're going to stop recruiting blue chips. And at some point, Trey might decide after his freshman year or after his sophomore year that he needs a different place to go, that it just didn't quite work out in Lincoln, Nebraska. And at that point, Illinois will hopefully have a track record of not just success recruiting, but success on the actual field. And again, hopefully we can repeat the process with Luke Altmyer, just continue to have above average to star players at that quarterback position. And then who knows? We can once again enter that conversation with, and I'm not just saying Trey Taylor, but even guys of his ilk down the road. Let me know in the comments section, what's your confidence level in the QB development for Illinois? Is there a certain guy that you've got your eye on that you think that maybe more people should start noticing? And what do you think about this Florida pipeline? Is this the future of Illinois football recruiting? Drop your thoughts below. And again, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And before I let you all go and enjoy your weekends, I did want to mention that I know a couple of days ago that I addressed the Big Ten releasing the college basketball schedules for the entire conference. And oh boy, Illinois has definitely got a daunting task ahead. But we also know, on top of that tough conference schedule, that Brad Underwood tends to build a very tough out-of-conference schedule. That's always been his mentality, his philosophy. He just feels like that better prepares these players to grow up quicker and be ready for what life is going to be like playing those grueling Big Ten schedules and certainly being under those bright lights in March. And while we don't have a set schedule yet for the out-of-conference either, at least one of the marquee dates has been set. Illinois is going to be playing Alabama in the return game on November 19th at the United Center. Hopefully, I'll be able to attend that game. If you are as well, please let me know. Maybe we'll have a little get together. Obviously, last year, Illinois lost to Alabama. I believe it was 100-87. It was a game where Kylan Boswell had a really impressive game shutting down Mark Sears, but it really didn't matter. Alabama just was a more talented team all around, and they ended up being victorious on that particular night. Hopefully, Illinois can return the favor as they have the return game at, quote, air quotes, home this time in Chicago. But it's going to be an exciting game. And the thing is, for me, I just like to see good games on the schedule just because, selfishly, I like to see good basketball. I like to see where Illinois stands when it comes to the rest of the country. Like, are they a top 5 team? Are they a top 15 team, top 20 team? this usually gives us a pretty good barometer. But also, as I mentioned earlier, Brad loves it because it gets the players ready for when things are really going to matter at the end of the season. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Locked On Illini. Please, again, let me know what you want to see on the show. Send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com, or just find me on your favorite social media. It doesn't matter. Whatever process you prefer. Again, I've got a lot of content coming for you next week. There's a whole bunch we need to talk about. While on your way out, if you don't mind, again, find me on your favorite audio platform. And if you don't mind, please leave me a 5-star review. It really does help this channel grow. In particular, on the audio side, it lets other potential Illini fans stumble across Locked On Illini. Either way, I appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.